I get to be with Cat from Cut the Wrap in Ulveston, and your shop is a bit of a way to get all the stuff that we need, that we use all the time, those covered items, but to do it in a way that's a bit more sort of ecologically conscious about it. So we're getting rid of, it's called Cut the Wrap, so we're getting rid of a lot of that wrap. But you have some tips for us for going into Christmas, because a lot of us are starting to wrap our presents, or we're thinking about stocking stuffers and things like that. And what can we do sort of right now immediately to help reduce sort of the trash, all the stuff that comes with the Christmas packaging?
So don't buy as much stuff for a start off. We don't need as much stuff. Think quality rather than quantity. When you're choosing gifts and wrapping paper, sort of be aware of the packaging that they come in. If something comes in a cardboard box, it's sort of obviously recyclable, whereas if something comes in a plastic box or sleeve, not necessarily so. So think about that. But wrapping paper-wise, there's some really easy tips. Go for recyclable paper tape, recyclable paper. Think about fabric wrapping. That's a really easy sort of exciting thing to go for. Cut up an old exciting jazzy bedsheet and learn how to fancy tie it with a Japanese furoshiki knot.
That sounds like a YouTube video.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads. If you go on YouTube and search furoshiki, there's loads, and it's really exciting, sort of like having a go at all the different kind of origami, but for fabric, to turn it into a really exciting gift. And obviously, if you keep that wrap then and use it year on year on year, you know, it's you're not plundering our planet's resources, cutting down trees for more wrapping paper, basically. So think about that. But yeah, recyclable tape, you can get that in quite a few places now, including our shop. But you know, that makes your wrapping paper recyclable. Sellotape is not. On average, each household uses 1.5 rolls of sellotape every single Christmas. Mm-hmm. And every single Christmas, 50,000 trees are cut down for wrapping paper.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you know, if you choose recycled wrapping paper, you're already helping with that, because you're using recycled paper as opposed to cutting down fresh trees to make wrapping paper. And just be mindful of the type of paper you use as well, because if it's glittery or shiny, it can't be recycled. So, you know, there's a few kind of tips there around waste at Christmas to do with wrapping.
Well, one of the other issues that, and it's something that we promote here at the station, is when you're buying local, you don't have all the sort of extra bit that you have with shipping, whether it's the individual packages going from the big mail order or internet order warehouse, coming to you individually on trucks driven around the country, but also you're supporting local businesses. If you go to, say, your shop or one of the other sort of local shops in Ulveston or Barrow around the area, then it's a more eco-friendly way to do your Christmas shop as well. And even for things like food, it's got to make a huge difference if you're going to the local butchers, because you don't have all that plastic packaging that you would if you went down to the big shops and got your whatever sausage, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're supporting our local farmers and local producers, obviously the carbon footprint associated with that is massively reduced, you know. So definitely the way forward for your groceries and food shopping, support local farmers and producers where possible. And if you can support a farmer that, for example, grass feeds as opposed to grain feeds as well, you're also cutting down the carbon footprint of the feeds. It's not being shipped from the other side of the world to feed the produce. It's literally right there under your feet on our hillsides, our gorgeous Cumbrian hills. So yeah, support local producers.
Do you have any tips about that sort of Christmas lunch that, we tend to sort of go over the top anyway? I know at our house we have food for days and days, so we can always cut back on that a little bit. But a lot of the extra stuff as well. Do you have any tips about sort of making sure that when we're planning our meals, we're doing it in a very conscious consumer way?
Yeah, so plan. Basically, sit down, write your little kind of menu plan, go shopping with your list, and stick to it. Don't be seduced by all the big flashy signs in the supermarket telling you that you need this, that, and the other. If you wouldn't normally enjoy, I don't know, something, don't get it. Plan your meal, plan your what you're going to have, and stick to it and enjoy it. It's a time for a lovely extravagant meal, but that's not to say that you have to have all of this just stuff that ends up in the bin. Just plan it.
I think for us, it's I particularly feel quite a lot of pressure. And it's sort of every step of the way. Like starting in November, thinking about advent calendars. I have a reusable advent calendar, but sort of thinking, okay, what am I going to get this year for that? And then it sort of builds and builds and builds. And as beautiful as some of those Christmas adverts are, it's again that sort of pressure, magic. We have to make it all magical. And usually for me, and I know a lot of people, it's stuff. Stuff is what makes it magical.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's an old adage, and it's totally true, that our loved ones treasure our presence, not our presents. So they treasure us being there and the memories. And, in 10 years' time, they won't remember that they sort of unwrapped X, Y, and Z under the tree. They'll remember the memories of being with the family and, fighting over the last purple Quality Street or whatever, They won't remember that they got sort of, loads of stuff. They just want to have a nice time with you. So it's about presence, being there, not presents. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Excellent tips, as always. You'll have to come back after the new year to tell us what to do with all the stuff that we've now received. But thank you again, and I hope that you have a safe and healthy holiday season.
Yeah, you too.